Greetings. Welcome to the Money Script Podcast. I'm your host, Yohance Harrison, financial advisor and financial literacy educator. In each episode, you'll hear incredible interviews and get tips and strategies that you can implement into your daily life to help you improve your money script and grow your wealth. Thank you for taking some time with me today. Let's get into this episode of the Money Script. Welcome back to the Money Script Podcast. So happy to have you all with me today. I am joined by a hometown hero. By hometown hero, I mean I grew up with this brother. I think we started out in third grade together. I think it was third grade.
At least.
Wait, who did you have in third grade? At Briarwood. Did you have Miss Hollins in third grade?
I didn't have Miss third grade. I had Miss Cowser. I had Miss Cowser. We were in the modular, not the modulars. We was in that little separate building right by the playground.
Okay, so maybe it was fourth grade. I had.
Miss Hauser, I believe, was fifth grade. Which fifth grade was Miss Fountain for me. Miss Hauser was in the modular with Miss Fountain and Miss Jackson.
Okay, sixth grade. I can't remember her name.
I had Miss Brigman. Did you have Brigman or Sessoms?
I didn't have Sessoms either. I had the one next door to her.
McDaniel. You had Miss McDaniel.
Yeah. Do you remember that day when Jodeci showed up at Briarwood? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Miss Sessoms' class went wild.
I might have been sick that day.
That's a possibility.
Because I can't remember. I cannot remember. I can't believe I wouldn't remember that.
Yeah, it was towards the end of the year, and the place just went insane. It was nuts. Anyway, so this is my good friend Derek Green. Derek is a regional director at Sanofi. That is a pharmaceutical and medical device as well, or just pharmaceuticals?
Biopharma.
Biopharma.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been there for what, going on 15 years? I guess might as well call it your whole life. 17 years. Okay, so I'm off a little bit. All right, so you've been enjoying corporate America, so that's good. So I just want to take a minute and let you introduce yourself to the folks. I know I just told everybody your name, but go ahead and just give us a brief introduction, a brief glimpse into your life.
Yeah, no, I'm Derek Green, and as Yohance has just so eloquently introduced me, I'm humble. Hero, not that, I think we grew up together in the same neighborhood. So it's, I think we're all being successful now, and I think it all comes from our core. But I currently live in Houston, Texas. I've probably lived in I have lived in 7 states in that 17 years of my tenure of working in corporate America. I grew up an athlete, grew up playing football, basketball, golf. Was always on student council, leadership councils, and stuff like that. And then had the fortunate opportunity to go to play football at NC State on a full scholarship, which I'll share this with you. And it's funny because I was talking about this a couple of weeks ago. My degree is actually in Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Management.
Okay, that has a lot to do with BioPharm. I like it.
And so the history behind that is I do feel like, sometimes the athletes are pushed into majors just so they can be focused on sports. And I was always a sports athlete, I would call myself, and be proud of. But sports management was in the School of Parks, Recreation, Tourism Management at the time. I think now it's more in the management class, in the management schools. And so I had to go through that channel. But more or less, my marketing degree is probably what got me in the door for pharma, because pharma is all about marketing and sales. So like you said, I started off at Disney. So that was my first corporate job. I was there for 18 months and actually working in my field of sports management. So I worked at Disney's Wide World of Sports, worked there for 18 months. And this will probably tie into later, but it had a lot to do with the reason why I left Disney was because I was told that as a young person in corporate America, that I had to do my time in order to progress in my career. And I wasn't satisfied with that, having been, all my life, being able to reap the rewards of my efforts, and regardless of age, sexuality, color, creed, whatever, I felt like if you put hard work, my mantra is success is not an entitlement, it's earned. And that was instilled in me at a very early age. And so that's what prompted me to get into sales, which I thought I would never want to do. But I have thoroughly enjoyed this career because it has provided me the gratification that I need with regards to progression, taking risk, um, failing fast quickly, resilience, and all those types of things that I think life is all about.
Indeed, indeed. As a salesman myself, I never thought I'd be in sales. I was a communications major. I thought I was going into radio, and then I found out how much they did not make in radio, and like you
Right.
said, and how you had to pay your dues for such a long time in order to go anywhere. And then I thought, okay, well, I'll try magazine, newspaper, same thing, and I felt the same way. So I'm glad I ended up in sales as well. So yes, as you mentioned, the Disney is probably going to touch on some of the questions. So first, I have to ask: do you still have Disney stock from
I
18?
don't. Well, you
Oh,
know what? I don't. I don't. I guess we'll dig into this. As having been able to get introduced to a financial planner at an early age, I'm not a really big stock guy. My
okay,
risk, my risk tolerance is very low. So I'm like slow and steady wins the race type of thing.
okay,
So
good,
yeah, so we can talk about that.
good. So you know your limits. That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So as I ask every guest on the show, I'll ask you, what was your first memory of money? When did you become um, aware that money was a thing to be earned, to be used, to be spent, to be saved, or what have you?
It's interesting you asked that question because I believe, as I prepare for today, I really think about my first memory with money with regards to not having any. And here's why I'll explain about that. Growing up, and I guess we were middle. Like I still look back. Were we middle? Was
We
my family middle class or were we poor?
we, we
When I
were
think
we
about
were a rising middle class neighborhood. That's what we were. We were on our way.
yeah, right. And so and everybody's financial situation is different in each household. And
Sure.
so respectfully, I love my parents to this day. God rest my mom's soul. I lost her 5 years ago. My dad is still living, but we didn't. My brothers and I have two older brothers. We didn't go without material things, but there were times when I came home and the lights were out, or there were times when I came home and the cable was off, or the phone was off back in the day. Remember that? So
I
like
do.
there were times when situations would occur, and I would walk home and from school and see that notice and begin to wonder, like, what does this really mean, right? And so, there were times when I would hear the discussions between my parents that were heated from time to time around money, and I just remember thinking, you got to control. I would just remember thinking, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that way when I grow up.
Got it. Got it. So once you earned your first dollars when you got that first real job, um, what were some of the lessons that you had to learn really quickly?
So, interesting enough, I mean, I started my first job. Did you work at Laura Lake with me?
I did. I forgot
Yeah,
about that job. Wow.
yeah.
Haven't put that on a resume in a long time.
Yeah, we started early making $10 in time and a half for holidays and stuff
Yes,
like
we
that, right?
did. Mm-hmm.
So because I heard those conversations as a kid, I knew that there were things I wanted to take on for my own personal responsibility early on. So I may have had I think my very first job, Yohance, was when I was in Baltimore, Maryland, and this kind of shaped the reason why I'm a businessman versus a blue collar worker. And I worked with my uncle's best friend on roofing in Baltimore, Maryland. And I probably was on the job for 2.5 days on top of a roof in hot Baltimore.
It can be hot
Um,
ass. That works.
okay, all right. And on these like very steep roofs. And so like I remember leaving that job, like quitting. And I remember calling my aunt and saying, come pick me up. I'm not doing this anymore. I got paid cash for it, whatever. But I was like, I ain't no way in the world I'll be able to work like this for the rest of my life. So that shaped the fact that I wanted to, I didn't mind working, but I wanted to work indoors. So then that's when I got connected with Meredith down the street and Tamika,
Mm-hmm.
our friends, and they were working at Lower Lake, and they were making some good money. So it was a really great job for us, right? Because it was right after school on the weekends. So I just think that was my first experience of my first dollar made. But all that shaped the way that I thought about money was the fact that, hard work, effort, yielded more money. And so therefore I could afford the things I wanted to get. So I remember buying a pager, clear pager back in the day, shoes, the heel figure shirts, we had to keep up over in West Charlotte, right? So
Nautica, Hilfiger, man.
keep up with the cream team. But yeah, so we so that was kind of my first memory with money. But I've always remember working. So even as a student athlete, the reason why I got the job in the company I'm with now is because there was a boss that saw that I was working in my off season at Outback Steakhouse as a waiter in college. Now, mind you, I had a full scholarship, but I still chose to work.
Mm.
And then also played Division I football. So that grind has always just been a part of me, and so that's what afforded me other opportunities later on in life as well too.
So out of curiosity, with that grind that's a part of you, how do you stay motivated and engaged, especially when things are down? I mean, you've now been in corporate America for, you said 17 years. Well, at least with Sanofi, 17 years. So that means you've experienced at least two. This will be your second recession with this company.
Yeah.
If you go back to the 2008, and then probably, well, no, you were still in college for '01. So not quite, but still. So two recessions in corporate America. How do you stay engaged when, maybe around you there's layoffs happening, or, there, especially with all the disruption that's happening right now? What do you do?
It's very great, good question. Because tomorrow I'm actually interviewing for a promotion. So whether I get it or don't, I don't care. However, I've always felt like I have to increase my breadth of experience. And there's always ways to reinvent yourself. And I'm a visionary. I think about career progression to me probably has outweighed my personal life, because I feel like, and I kind of talked about controlling the controllables earlier on, I can kind of control my destiny at work because I can look at something and say, that's what I want. Then I can kind of figure out the path around that. My personal life is a little bit different because everybody doesn't operate in the same space, right?
Sure.
So, I think what's helped keep me resilient through recessions is that I'm not scared, and that goes back to my mantra around I'm not scared to take risks. I'm not scared to take opportunities that are not quite line items on my resume, but I know that I can do the job and I can communicate how I can achieve those accomplishments. I've been fortunate enough to work for a company that has a diversified background around different therapeutic areas, different operational roles, and that's what I've done at my company. I've moved 7 times because I was either trying to get into management, or I was trying to get exposure to another therapeutic area, or I was trying to get exposure to another experience. So, and I haven't had to leave and go get my MBA. I stayed at the same company that supported that diversification. I don't think it has not been, I think it's also been great to be a diversity candidate in the midst of all of that. Because I say that because I've had a lot of supporters and mentors in corporate America. I've also tried to engage other people outside diversity of culture as well as experience, to make sure that we're intentional about that. But overall, I think I've always chosen opportunities to keep me resilient and keep my experience broad. That way, if something happens, like now I'm in leadership. However, I've been in pharma. Now I'm in biopharma, and I'm at different levels of leadership, executive leadership. I've been in first line leadership. So like, if I go out and apply for a job, I can kind of translate that into new things. And that's what I'm always thinking about.
Got it. I like that. I like that diversity of just your skills and how you can, again, communicate with the team, work with the team well. Like I said, those skills are plug and play just about anywhere. Right. And a lot of that just has come from, like you said, years of sports. That'll do that to you on the team sport at that. Now, what would you, if you were to look back over your financial decisions you've made over the last, say, 20 years, what advice would you give to yourself 20 years ago, being that you just hit the big 4-0? What financial advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
I definitely would. And again, we didn't learn this in school nor with our parents, but a financial advisor, or if you don't know anything about, like, I'm good at biopharm, I'm good at leadership. that's what I do, right? I stay in my lane. However, there are people who are they're pilots for a reason. There's like everybody specializes in their thing. So I would say to anybody, you're never too young to have a financial conversation with somebody and about planning. I got into financial planning with my advisor, Sean Spade, with Ameriprise, if I can say all that.
You sure can. Hey, I was with Ameriprise for 15 years. I'm with it.
Right. And he actually caught me on a fishbowl exercise. Like I literally
fishbowls.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, if I found your card in the fishbowl, I'm like, oh yeah, that's gold. I would have said that in a minute. I was like, it's gold. I would have did a little background research. Like, oh, NC State football player. Yeah, it's gold.
He was on it, and like literally, I was able to spend my 40th birthday with him because it's been 10 years. But yeah, I would say, you're never too young to have those conversations and sit down. I mean, they're free consultations and try to understand what that financial future looks like for you. Because I mean, I'm well ahead of the game right now, right? But I could even be even further ahead of the game had I started, 9 years earlier, during that time frame.
True indeed. So, you're in your peak earning years though, so just keep putting away. Keep putting away. I know you like to hop on planes, so you've been grounded for a little while. For those that I'm sure Derek will give us his Instagram later. He will take you all over the world, but he's been grounded with this COVID-19. So out of curiosity, we all got grounded and this thing happened kind of all at once. Meanwhile, you were planning for your 40th birthday and going through an amazing transformation. I'm just curious, what did you just wake up one day and say, wait, I'm turning 40 in 3 months. I'm not taking this with me to 40. I mean, what was that internal charge that said, let me eat right, exercise more? I mean, I know you were an athlete before, but we all get to be adults. We get a little lazy. We're having a little fun. We get a little content, or we get, married.
Yeah.
That'll do it too. My wife's going to hear this later. Like, you did what? Oh, okay. Here we go.
No. Well, so, it was it was July 22nd. And the reason why I remember that, because it was the day after my mother's 4-year anniversary of her death. And I'm like, now I'm approximately 6 months out, and I started researching intermittent fasting and just things like that. I'm like, man, I'm about to be 40. And then I remember where I was 10 years ago. I remembered where I was competing and I was in the epitome of health. However, I had met my partner at the time. And I probably held on to that healthy lifestyle for about 3 of those years, but he and I were together for like 8 years. So life happened, right?
Oh yeah.
Then I lost my mother, and then my relationship ended due to some career changes. It was nothing, super personal, but I was moving. Ambition, kind of got a hold of me there. And so with all that, I just started reflecting. I started looking, I'm like, this is not the Derek Green that I know, right? And so if I want something different, I got to be different. And so I started off thinking, okay, I'm going to have this huge celebration at 40. And I'm like, I'm not going to have a wedding, so I will not spare an expense. I'm thinking I'm not going to have a wedding, right?
Yeah.
I hope to have one day, but like I'm not going to spare an expense. I'm going ahead and start preparing. So I started planning a party for my 40th, but things were just not lining up, and I don't force anything, right? So around December-ish, I went to Ghana, and went to Ghana for New Year's for the 400-year return. And I was looking back at some pictures, and I had made some good progress, but it wasn't where I really wanted to be. So I said, you know what? I'm about to take this thing to another level. So I got hooked up with a trainer here in Houston on a Sunday. And I said, man, I used to compete. And this was like January 12th, because I said, I used to compete and I want to compete again. He said, all right. So he texted me the next day. I just felt like that was a sign. I was like, all right, bro, let's do it. And I paid my money. It was a financial and then once you put your money to it, you got to go through with it, right?
Got to now. You spend money. Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of where it was an investment in myself, right? That was a physical investment in myself. That, again, that's how I value money. So that has been the motivation of, I can't quit, right? I can't stop. I've invested in this. I'm not wasting money. So what better way to turn that into more of a healthy thing for me overall and body-wise? And so that's and so then I started thinking, I want to be more intentional about my 40th versus this. To me, it started feeling more superficial in the sense of, here I would have, which I have no home because I've lived all over the country. I would have people fly in from everywhere probably. Then they would have to be a financial burden. Luckily, I didn't really know about COVID-19 really coming about either. And I was like, that money could be spent elsewhere. So that's why you may have saw my virtual birthday party that I had before COVID-19 even happened. I was kind of thinking about this already, but I have friends around the world, like you mentioned earlier. So it was like and then I just started having some, then I was like, let me just do a photo shoot to capture this moment of my life, because if I don't have kids, and that's the reason why I did the video, if I don't have children, I have 10 nieces and nephews, and I want them to remember, this is how I want to memorialize my life and where I am at this juncture in my life. And so that just turned into, then I started reaching out to some coworkers I had when I was at Sanofi when I first started, had a lunch with them, my financial plan, like everything was just it just fell in place to being more intentional. And so that's why everything ended up, and I had a wonderful birthday with just my family in Miami. They surprised me with a lot of things, and it organically happened, and I didn't go against the grain. I just let it happen,
Wow, I was taking notes on that. I turned 40 on June 8th.
Yeah.
I had originally put out an invite. We were going to get a house on the lake and everybody fly in from everywhere. And then COVID-19.
And nothing's wrong with that, right? I mean, if that's how you want to sell it, like, I'm not knocking that. I did some self-reflection on myself, and and that's how I care about people. I'm like, I don't want to, like, I know I have a lot of people who have kids who have AAU basketball on the weekend. So they will have to make a choice between coming to my party or going to see their son play. Like, it was just stuff that was just like bogging me down, that I was like, all right, forget it. I'll just do this.
Yeah, no, we decided to include, we said, make it a family affair, bring the kids. We were going to have babysitters there. I mean, the whole nine. We were going to rent a van. I was planning this whole thing, and then COVID happened. I said, okay, well,
yeah, we
can still go get the house, I guess, but it's just going to be us. We'll see. Well, I wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. I appreciate you spending some time with our wonderful audience today, sharing a little insight. You dropped some serious nuggets in there, and I know there's other student athletes that are going through some similar things that you're going through. And now, I mean, the dynamics of being a student athlete is just, magnified over the past few years. And we had the decision out in California where they believe student athletes deserve to get paid, and which I believe that for a long time. But then there's the mechanics of it, and there's the cost of education. I was just had a client the other day said he wanted to look at his daughter going to UCLA, and we looked at the cost of it. It's $63,000 a year.
A year?
A year. And I'm just like, yes, and it's going to cost them, $350,000. And it was just, I don't know. Something's got to change. But at the same time, I'm paying almost $40 for my son to go to school. So that's the price of private school. He's got some scholarships though, so he's taking some of the weight off of me. But still, it's $40 grand. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, you want the best for your children, but the thing you have to think about, and that brings up the point of, I was like, do I go out and get my MBA because everybody else has an MBA, everybody else has their doctorate? Let me go do that. But like, again, I was blessed. I gotta say, I don't talk a lot about my spirituality, but I really feel like God has ordered my steps. And like, even now in what we're going through right now, I work in rare diseases and with my company, and we are very much needed more now than ever to help our customers, help our patients. And I had no idea this would be recession proof, right? Because it was just something that I was going after just because it felt right, and that was the gut, the spirituality saying, "Hey, Derek, go this way." But yeah, I mean, I haven't had to leave to stop working and not make any money to go pay somebody else for an education. And that's what I would give advice to people when they're looking for jobs. What are the internal opportunities that exist within a company? When you have an interview, let me be very specific, and they ask you, do you have any questions for us? Here are the questions you should be asking.
Okay. Oh, wait. Let people get their pens ready. You're about to drop.
What are your thoughts? I mean, what does the company offer with regards to tuition reimbursement, which that's kind of going away now. That's not really there anymore. Well, as far as diversification of my background, what opportunities exist, and what is the appetite to hire people for experience versus just what they've done before in the past? And the reason why I'm asking that, Mr. Whoever I'm interviewing or Miss Whoever I'm interviewing with, is because, I look to be able to gain a lot from this organization as I want to be here for a long period of time. People leave companies early now because there's not a lot of room for growth.
Yeah.
There's no succession planning within companies anymore because of the generation X, Ys, and G, whatever's that are out there. It's just so many different social things that that companies are experiencing, and if companies are not recognizing the fact that they gotta meet the needs of generation X, and like generation X has to meet some of the needs of the older generation, like until that stuff really gets exposed and really intentional about closing those gaps, there could be a good disparity long term around companies and longevity and loyalty and things that we were used to seeing our parents do back in the day.
Well, that's very true. I watched that happen. Even so, I had a spiritual gut check that made me sit down and find a niche to work on when it came to clients. Because I was the type of person who's like, hey, if you can save money, you're open to getting some advice, I'll help you. And then I hired a business coach, and he said, yeah, that's good. You can find other ways to do that. This podcast is a way of doing that. And he said, you've really got to find a niche. And he made me go do this exercise where I wrote out an avatar of my perfect client. And after I wrote that avatar, I looked at my client list, and I realized I had described like 5 of my clients. I was like, oh, wow, that's her, that's him, that's her. And I was like, okay. And they were all in emergency medicine.
Wow.
And so I decided 3 years ago to focus all of my marketing efforts, et cetera, on emergency medicine. Who knew, like you said, it would be recession proof? People were asking me, how are you doing? I was like, I'm busy. I'm great. This is like, oh, are your clients freaking out? I'm like, about getting the disease because they're in front of it every day? Yeah. About the market?
That's awesome.
No, not really. They know it's an opportunity. And we keep it moving. So it is, like you said, it's funny when we have those moments and we're pulled in a certain direction. And believe me, and I was reluctant. I was not sure if that was the right thing to do. I was like, why do I want a niche? I just want to be the guy that can help everyone. And it turned out to be the best decision of my career, and maybe for quite some time. So as we depart, I would like to ask you, with all the spare time that you have, what book is on your nightstand? What are you reading right now?
Oh gosh, nothing.
Nothing. Dude, come on. There's got to be in the toilet somewhere.
So what I have found solace in, because I'm used to movement. Okay. And yoga, meditation. I'm learning Derek, 17 years and been on the go right now. I mean, I read emails all day. I read around my people and their customers and clients all the time, right? Like, I wish I could be, I know I'm just a genuine person. I'm not reading anything right now other than, a verse here or there from my Bible every now and then.
Okay. So that's the book.
Yeah, that's a book. But at the end of the day, I'm mixing that with yoga. And then and you spoke about the running app. The running app has been absolutely amazing. It's a guided coaching app on Nike Running Coach.
I tried it today. It is amazing.
You like that? Like, and some people hate it because they don't want anybody in their ear, but I'm a motivator. I'm doing so much at one time when I'm going to run. I'm motivating myself, and I'm learning how I can motivate my team, through down times. And, so many times after a run, I'm sending a text message to my team about, you guys, you can do it, stay focused. Thank you. And I'm getting responses back. I need to hear that. So I'm not reading anything, but I am hearing how to motivate people in a different way while still doing what I'm used to doing in movement, where I'm not getting on planes and trains and automobiles and driving and doing all the things I do normally. So I've shifted that energy to working out and social distancing, working out, of course, and finding ways to help elevate myself. That's what reading ultimately does, right? It just helps inspire.
Absolutely. Well put, sir. Well put. Well, again, Derek, I want to thank you very much for your time, spending some time with us today. I'll let you get back to it because I'm sure you've got more Zoom meetings with more team meetings and all of that fun stuff. And, of course, the joy of reading emails. Oh, my gosh. I want to apologize to everyone. I know I've sent out my own list of COVID-19 emails or what have you over the weeks trying to keep you informed, but can we just have a no COVID-19 email day? Just need a holiday. I just need a COVID-19 holiday. I don't want any emails about the impact or anything else, but no, I'm kidding. So, all right, Derek, you enjoy the rest of your day, and hope to see you again on the podcast, and hope to see you soon since you're right down the road. Of course, once we can finally get on planes again, I'm sure either you'll catch me in Dallas or I'll catch you in Houston.
Yeah, please do, Yohance. Thank you, and great job with what you're doing. I'm proud of you as well. You're my hero, and so keep doing what you're doing as well, man. I appreciate it, making Hampshire Hills proud.
Indeed, and Briarwood. And,
that's right.
And Cochran and West Charlotte and all of them.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Take it easy.
All right.
Thanks for joining us on the Money Script podcast. Be sure to check out our other episodes, subscribe, follow, and give us 5 stars. Continue to send your financial questions on Twitter or Instagram at The Money Script. Go to moneyscriptwealth.com and schedule your complimentary consultation to discuss your specific goals and concerns. Financial advisory and investment management services are offered by Money Script Wealth Management PLLC, a registered investment advisory firm registered in the state of Texas and California and other states where exempt. The Money Script LLC and the Money Script Wealth Management PLLC and guests of the episode may have interest in the investments mentioned today. The opinions and views are expressed here are for informational purposes only. This material is educational in nature and should not be deemed as a solicitation for any specific product or service. All investments involve risk and a significant loss of principal. The Money Script nor Money Script Wealth Management offer tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney for specific advice about your situation. Until next time.